Hello BookTube. This is my October book haul. I will start with the books I got through, or I bought through Alibris, separated by specific sellers on Alibris, and then I'll move to the book I got from Book Depository, and then I'll end with the books I bought new from Amazon. So, first up is Dennis Wheatley's Uncharted Seas. This was adapted, I want to say, by Hammer in the late 60s as The Lost Continent. It's sort of a Lost World adventure story. I have a frustrating fascination with Dennis Wheatley and his work that I'm not entirely sure how to explain. I touched on that a little bit when I did my filmed my October TBR with The Devil Rides Out, and I did want to film a discussion video with that in a few days. So I got this from Pals. I have about a few books from Pals through Alibris. I first went to Powell's over 10 years ago for a conference when I was a senior in college. I was part of a English lit or English group that did conferences for undergrads, so we can, if we're planning on going to grad school, have a better experience of going to conferences. And we went to Portland, and one of the first things I did, or probably the first thing we did after we checked in, was we went to Powell's, City of Books. It is a fantastic bookstore, and I think I went there like once or twice by myself, and brought home quite a few books, and really enjoyed that trip to Portland. Also, the Museum of Art in Portland at the time was really good too. Next up, from Clean Earth Books in Atlanta, Georgia, we have Agatha Christie, 5 Complete Novels of Murder and Detection. This book includes, sorry about the glare, this book includes 10 Little Indians, and then there were none, Parallel In-House, The Murder at Hazelmoor, Easy to Kill, and Evil Under the Sun. I first encountered Agatha Christie I think I was about 12. I was watching those, the Poirot television series starring David Suchet, and the Miss Marple series starring Joan Hickson on A&E. And from there, I picked up Poirot Investigates and Death on the Nile and the Tuesday Nightclub, and gradually from there more Agatha Christie novels and short story collections in the old Harper Collins and Berkeley mass market paperbacks. And then at some point, I think midway to late in my college career, I purged the detective fiction and the science fiction and fantasy from my collection in favor of mostly just literary fiction. I mean, now it's mostly been reversed. I have a very paltry general fiction collection over here with an even more paltry literary fiction. And a rather large science fiction and fantasy collection, which is behind me. So I didn't read Agatha Christie for quite a few years, probably about 10 years or more. And then I discovered again through Poirot with David Suchet and Miss Marple with Joan Hickson on Netflix. They were streaming at the time. I think Poirot's still streaming. I don't know about Miss Marple. I think that series moved to BritBox. And then I checked out Death on the Nile, loved it. Checked out a few more books. The Waco McLennan County Library has like 4 of these big omnibus editions. This one I actually now have all 4, and I quite enjoyed them. So quite happy to have these kind of like recollecting my Agatha Christie, even though they're mostly now in these omnibus editions, which this is the 7th, and I want to get an 8th at some point in the near future. Moving on to books I got from Better World Books. Better World Books used to be my go-to source on Alibris because they have really good prices and the quality of their books are pretty good. First up is The Story of Egypt by Joanne Fletcher. This is one of my favorite histories of ancient Egypt. And when I first read it, I was kind of leery because I knew Joanne Fletcher from some of those ancient Egypt documentaries where she had a fight or something with Zahi Hawass, but this is really, really good, and I'm quite pleased that, I was proven wrong. This is a fantastic book. And we have By the Spear by Ian Worthington. This is a book on the Macedonian Empire, largely from the point of view of Philip II, the father of Alexander the Great, and how he really sort of laid much of the groundwork for Alexander's success. And quite enjoyed it. Happy to have it in my personal collection too, and not having to interlibrary loan it every few years. So that wraps up what I got from Alibris. From Book Depository, I got The House of Sundering Flames by Elliot de Berdard. This is the 3rd, and I want to say concluding volume in her Dominion of the Fallen series. The Dominion of the Fallen started with House of Shattered Wings and continued in House of Binding Thorns, and now concludes in the House of Sundering Flames. So the Dominion of the Fallen novels are about the fallen angels who have taken over Paris and ruled the city through competing noble houses. And each novel generally features a focus on a different house and some threat that threatens to undermine the house's power. I'm really looking forward to reading this. Both House of Shattered Wings and House of Binding Thorns were my favorite books the year when I read them a few years ago. Looking forward to actually rereading them and getting to this finally, because I've been looking forward to this book for years. So from Amazon, I picked up 3 books, 1 completely new and 2 sequels. So the completely new book, and the first book I picked up this month, is Evan Winter's The Rage of Dragons. I've had this in my wish list for a few months and was intrigued by the booktuber Daniel Green's review and strong recommendation. The Rage of Dragons has been described as an African Game of Thrones in a way that Marlon James's Black Leopard Red Wolf isn't quite. So I'm thinking this is probably going to be a more traditional fantasy than sort of the linguistic experimentation that James employs in Black Leopard, Red Wolf, but since this is a completely new book, I shall read the blurb. The Omehe people have been fighting an unwinnable fight for 100,000 years. Their society has been built around war and only war. The lucky ones are born gifted. 1 in every 2,000 women has the power to call down dragons. 1 in every 100 men is able to magically transform himself into a bigger, stronger, faster killing machine. Everyone else is fodder, destined to fight and die in the endless war. Young, giveless Tao knows all of this, but he has a plan of escape. He's going to get himself injured, get out early, and settle down to the simple life, marriage, children, land, until those closest to him are brutally murdered, and his grief swiftly turns to anger. Fueled by thoughts of revenge, Tao dedicates himself to an unthinkable path. He'll become the greatest swordsman to ever live. A man willing to die 100,000 times for the chance to kill the 3 who betrayed him. Sounds fascinating. Can't wait to get to this. Next up is The Blue Eye by, not The Bluest Eye, The Blue Eye. I made that mistake when I did my October TBR. By Asima Zahanat Khan. This is the 3rd book in her Khorasan Archive series. The first book is The Bloodprint. The 2nd book, The Black Khan, which I had intended to read in October, but which had to be pushed back because I got over ambitious with my TBR, and I'm really looking forward to not only continuing with the Black Khan, but the Blue Eye too. So looking forward to this. And finally, in the book I got today, we have The Name of All Things by Jen Lyons. This is the sequel to her book, The Ruin of Kings, which I quite liked. I do want to reread The Ruin of Kings before I read this, so I probably will wait until the new year before I finally get to it, but I'm really excited and looking forward to reading this. Anywho, those are the books I got in October. I might have a book haul this weekend if I manage to go to the Waco-McLennan County Friends at the Library book sale. And if not, then I'll probably have a pretty sizable one towards the end of November. So, thank you, BookTube. Have a great day, evening, morning, night, whatever time you're watching this. Bye.